Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and today we are going to be taking a look at not one, but two alternate LEGO models based on the same set that combine Marvel superheroes with LEGO Bionicle to make a very unique, different set of models. Come on over here and let me show you one of the LEGO sets that came out last year around this time, which was the Ghost Rider Mech and Motorcycle. That was a set that fit within the LEGO Marvel Superheroes theme. You can see it right here. It was Ghost Rider's mech atop a motorcycle that he drove, and it was a fairly simple set. It was meant to fit within the rest of the LEGO Marvel mechs. But what some talented builders have done have taken that exact set, used only the pieces from the set to make a Bionicle model out of them. So if we come on over to the Bionicle section over here, we can take a look at everyone's favorite system, EXO-TOA. This was a gift with purchase last year that depicted Tahu the TOA fire in system form alongside the Matoran Takua. But what's really cool is that these builders have taken the LEGO Ghost Rider mech and bike set and turned it into an EXO-TOA for the system GWP-Tahu, as well as a Boxor for Takua. You can see the originals right next to the newer versions right here on the shelf. I cannot wait to showcase this for all of you because it is a really faithful rendition of those original 2002 LEGO Bionicle models, all because some talented builders happened to spot that the color schemes were pretty similar in gunmetal gray, dark gray, light gray, and black. And now, let's jump on into our dual review of two custom LEGO Bionicle Marvel Mechs. This is set number 76245, Ghost Rider Mech and Bike. It was one of the LEGO Marvel superhero sets released earlier this year in 2023 and retailed for $35 US. These are models that you can build using just one copy of the Ghost Rider Mech and Bike, one for this and one for this, and here's what they are based on, and Bionicle fans will know exactly what they are. This is the EXO-TOA, released in 2002. It was a robotic exosuit that could be worn by Toa Tahu and the rest of the TOA as they ventured underground to fight the Balrog Queens. And this is the Boxor, typically piloted by Nuparu, but also piloted by Takua in the Matanui Borok animations. This was a fighting machine constructed out of Borok pieces to fight the Borok themselves. And what's really cool is that you can take copies of the Ghost Rider Mech and Bike set and transform them into Bionicle adjacent builds, utilizing the Tahu and Takua gift with purchase set, which you can see piloting the two mechs right here. Now this build is created by the incredibly talented Ransom Fern, who you might know by the person who actually was able to redesign the UCS Hulkbuster to become much more screen accurate, as well as the creator of a lot more intricate and detailed Ninjago mechs. The Boxor is built by another Rebrickable user by the name of Clint M, and you can download the instructions for both of these models for free on Rebrickable, linked in the description below. Now, setting aside the Ghost Rider Mech and Bike itself, this is basically the component set that was used to create the two models. Let's go into some comparisons, and I'm going to start off with just the EXO-TOA itself as kind of the main focus of this particular review. In case you're curious, here is a video of all of the parts from both Ghost Rider and Mech bike sets, as well as the Tahu and Takua GWP laid out. Here are the parts remaining once you have built the EXO-TOA, so it's basically just one extra set with a few parts left over. And finally, here are all of the leftover parts when you make both the EXO-TOA and the Boxor by using two copies of the Ghost Rider set, as well as Tahu and Takua. Now, to me, this is a really cool reimagining of the set. All it does is take the GWP Tahu and Takua and combine it with the Ghost Rider Mech and Bike set to create something that is really close to the EXO-TOA itself. In fact, let me go ahead and place Tahu within the cockpit of the EXO-TOA so you can actually see for yourself how everything fits together and just how well this works as an actual function. We're going to go ahead and remove Tahu's sword and just place his legs right in the positions they need to go in order to actually pilot the mech suit itself, which is a really nice feature. It again was a really solid toy back in 2002, and I'm really glad you can actually do this with the GWP Tahu as well. Putting him into position here, let's just get this all fully secured. You can tuck his arms beneath the armor here. Let's just go ahead and do that like so. And then you close this up, it locks shut with this piece right here, and this is the way to suit up Tahu in the EXO-TOA from 2002. And you can see they're actually pretty close in the way they're done. Honestly, the proportions of the newer one are a little bit better to me than the older original TOA. It's a lot less posable because you basically can only stand it straight when Tahu is standing in the mech itself, and to me, I feel like the new one is a pretty cool improvement in terms of making it modernized for the modern era. Of course, some compromises had to be made in terms of the cannon. There was a little bit of a different design. It actually does showcase this transparent orange element, almost like it's firing a burst of energy, because it is just using the component elements of the Ghost Rider mech and bike here, which you can see. But overall, I feel like this is a really solid representation of the two different characters in the EXO-TOA powered up forms, and it's really cool to me just how well the builder was able to capture this. From the two claws that are movable on the end of the EXO-TOA here, to fully articulatable limbs utilizing Mitchell joints. I am a big fan of how this all came together. And you can even use the articulation from the Tahu build itself to cause this to walk around. You can actually bend the knees, stomp around, get this in all sorts of really cool positions, and it's a lot more posable than the actual thing. This is a really cool integration of two existing 2023 LEGO sets, one being the Tahu and TOA Bionicle GWP, and the other one being, obviously, this 2002 and 2001 Tahu and EXO-TOA set that really makes it feel like everything is coming full circle when it comes to LEGO, and showcases the power of LEGO. You can use any existing set to build the pieces into something completely new. One thing that I really want to note that I appreciate about this particular alternate build is that you still have some amount of mechanical technic detail. The way that this arm is built in particular really does tend to mimic the spring launching function of the original set, which was a function that you could do like so, but I really love how you kind of have a similar type of detailing being used for the arm here. Obviously it's non-functional because you're just using the pieces included in the set, but it's something I really do appreciate they were able to even add into the set itself. Of course, this is actually something that you can use as a standard EXO-TOA as well, even if you don't have the extra Tahu and TOA set. All you need to do is open up the attachment here, open up these two shoulder elements, and then you can actually go ahead and completely remove Tahu from the build itself. Now, Tahu's feet are almost on stilts. They are attached to these very large attachment elements right here, but what you can do is just go ahead and remove them, like so, removing Tahu from the mech itself, and then these two feet attachment elements can be attached onto components used on the EXO-TOA itself for the system version, so it just attaches up like so. You can reconnect everything all the way up and then fold this down so you actually have a standard version of the EXO-TOA as a standalone model, which is really, really cool. Obviously, the scaling is not fully accurate because, of course, you are using a much bigger scale when it comes to the original Bionicle set, but once you remove Tahu, this starts to actually look pretty accurate. Let me go ahead and close this one back up again, like so. You can flip the head backwards, and there you can see it. The two EXO-TOAs standing right next to each other, looking really, really cool and very accurate as well. It does shorten the length of the legs, so maybe the legs aren't necessarily the most accurate in the way that they are done on the system build, especially because you do have to detach them and add them onto the Tahu build itself, but for an alternate build, I am really, really impressed with how the builder was able to pull this off. And it was honestly a stroke of genius just looking at the color scheme for the Ghost Rider mech and bike and realizing that it has orange, it has black, it has light gray, all the ingredients needed to make a full-on EXO-TOA, which is so, so cool, and I just love how you were able to do this, especially to fit in the GWP Tahu. One thing I do want to mention is that you do unfortunately have to utilize the elements from GWP Tahu's stand if you do want to build this. It does take in some of the elements that the stand uses, particularly the tan elements used on the back there, so you cannot actually display this with the stand. Thankfully though, I have a ton of extra copies of the Bionicle GWP, so I managed to just open up one of my extra copies to be able to showcase it with this. And the best part about the GWP design is that unlike the original set actually, you can go ahead and have some weapon storage on the back here. Here you can see Tahu's original sword. You can remove that from the back, place it in his hand, and voila, you are good to go, and you just have your own version of Tahu ready to go and ready for action. This is a really creative build, and again, huge props to Ransom Fern for just coming up with this incredibly unique design, utilizing just the pieces in Ghost Rider Mech and Bike to build these models. It is honestly kind of remarkable how similar they are in their stature, and I'm just very impressed with what he was able to pull off. But that's not all, because you can get a second copy of the set and do the Boxor as well. Moving on to the Boxor, this is the Boxor alternate build by Clint M, and this is TOA and the Boxor, which was an original 2002 set, piloted by Nuparu, but I figured I might as well put TOA in just for a direct comparison. Now, the original 2002 set had a really cool feature where you could literally box with the Boxor, which you can see right here by pressing down the legs. You can either have it be punching one side or another, which was a really fun action feature to integrate into the set, but because of that, it is a fairly sturdy and stable model. There aren't a lot of differences in terms of how you can actually move it around. It basically is no posability, you just use it to fight and to battle, which is totally okay for a model like this. But one thing that I really appreciate about the new system model is that you actually have TOA piloting it, but it is fully posable as well. You can move these around, swing them back and forth. It even has a bit of a function where you can actually push these back and forth almost like it is punching like the original set, and that is something that, again, is really impressive to me given that this was made out of just the component pieces of the Ghost Rider mech and bike. One thing that I will mention about this is that this is admittedly a lot more fragile than the EXO-TOA alt build. It's definitely a model you have to be pretty careful with. There are a lot of fiddly bits on it that will just fall off if you aren't careful, but overall, I just find it really impressive how not one, but two different Bionicle vehicles were able to be created by the same exact set just by getting multiple copies. Of course, just like the original set, you can move up the Borok component here to allow you to access the pilot's area. I really like how the Borok face is done. You have the two finger elements from the mech being used as teeth, and this round shield being used as the Borok faceplate, and even the hooks themselves are really well done. You've got these silver elements being used as hooks here, which originally were done as exhaust for the mech on the side there, for the side of the bike, but work really well as hooks to be used, similarly to the original Gali hooks of the original set. I love how you can very easily seat TOA inside the vehicle itself. You just kind of plop him in there and he just sits really nicely in. Let me see if I can even go ahead and remove him easily. It's actually a little difficult to remove him because he is in there really tight, but there you can see. That's how that works, and there's even space for his backpack inside the storage of the build itself. You can open this up, and you can see his backpack and his disc being stored on the inside of the vehicle, which allows you to just place TOA on the inside without having to worry about where you're going to put his backpack, which is a really nice touch. The way he attaches is just by pretty much just one single 1x1 connection like so. And then you have him fully arced up and ready for battle. Now, again, the one thing is that this model is very fragile. It certainly is not something LEGO would ever release as an official set. I am knocking off pieces as we speak, and there are so many different points where things will just fall off on the model, but really, I'm just impressed by how they were able to pull this off by using just the parts in the set, and I'm sure that maybe a more stable model could have been made, but definitely not one as accurate to the original Boxor as this one. So, obviously, compromises had to be made in the way that this was done, but I feel like those compromises were fairly justified to give us a very unique and dynamic model that really harkens back to the original Boxor. One thing that, much like the EXO-TOA, I really love about this build is you still do have some mechanical Technic detail, from the Technic elements being used on the side here that are meant to mimic the way that the original beam was used in the 2002 set, to the Technic beam on the back and mimicking the Throwbot arm on the back, which allowed you to kind of lock this into place. There are so many different Easter eggs and details being used to factor in this almost one-to-one replication. It is nearly to scale with the original model, which is again something that's really impressive, and to me, this is just another perfect rendition of how you can take an existing set and use its pieces to build something that you want, something that is completely different from the source material. Altogether, I feel like building these two models was a really fun and honestly humbling experience. It was really impressive to me just how many different types of builds could be accomplished with just the pieces in one set, and I feel like that really encouraged me to try to create my own different designs with existing LEGO sets, especially trying to create alternate models, because this is so solid, and I cannot wait to see what these builders do in the future. There's not much else I have to say here other than that these are really cool displays of creativity and showcases that the Bionicle community is truly alive and well, even taking existing LEGO sets and turning them into Bionicle style mocks. That is just so cool. I hope you enjoyed this video and this look at these two specialized rebuilds of the Ghost Rider mech and bike set, and let me know down in the comments if you plan to build these yourself. The instructions are thankfully for free on Rebrickable, so you can find them linked in the description below, which is very cool of the builders to do that, and thank you so much for watching. Alright, and with that we have summed up our look at 2 of the custom LEGO Bionicle GWP compatible Mechs being built out of just the parts from one set, which is honestly one of the best representations of a LEGO Mech builder's talent is when they take an existing LEGO set and create something completely new using only those parts. I was really impressed by these models, and I hope you enjoyed our special look at these 2 custom sets. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, you can find the instructions down linked in the description below on Rebrickable. I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to stay tuned for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Bye for now.